Okay. I'm not going to use the microphone because I'm just going to talk nice and loud. Can everybody hear me? Good. Okay. We're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Centertown District Steering Committee meeting. It is February 19th. Quick roll call. Carolyn Farros, Jason Gumbert, Don Stark, no S.
There is an SS, actually.
Nicole Polite, Steve Graham,
Yeah.
ex officio town council member Ralph Page, and ex officio planning board member Robert Terrell.
Did we call Nicole?
Okay. We're just going to move right into old business. Receipt of PVPC draft model bylaw. I need to take a motion in a second. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, steering committee members. Thank you, general members of the public for coming tonight. My name is Kyle Fennell from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. I'm joined by my colleague Aidan Hemming McMahon from PVPC. And tonight we're here to just speak briefly to the latest draft Centertown District bylaw that we have prepared with the valuable feedback and input from the steering committee and from the residents through this project over the past year. So incorporating the input from community engagement and our steering committee members' feedback, we've delivered via email earlier today draft Centertown District bylaw for the town to review and refine as it sees fit. Just want to speak to the fact that residents of East Longmeadow have been directly influential and helped shape the stated purpose of this proposed new zoning district in the Centertown District. A few of those direct influences include statements of purpose, such as allowing for a variety of housing types that's integrated with business and commercial use, generating positive tax revenue for the town while providing opportunities for growth, promoting a vibrant community core, and promoting the preservation of open space. So the draft Centertown District bylaw is primarily built upon the structure of the town's existing zoning language found in the mixed use village district zone. Sections of the Centertown District bylaw that relate to permitted uses, dimensions of buildings and densities, and parking requirements reflect recent conversation and discussion from the January steering committee meeting. There are several sections that will need further revision that town staff will address prior to taking forward to the planning board for review and hopefully adoption. There's still some discussion to be had regarding the proportion of a development in relation to mixed use, how much is residential versus commercial or business. There's still some discussion regarding housing and if a proportion of affordable housing is desirable and what that proportion is. Currently, we've proposed a 10% affordable requirement. Additionally, dimensions and density requirements, such as setbacks and building height, still need to be finalized. And then minimum requirements for parking and the possibility of reduction of parking requirements. Still topics to discuss with the town. We're not going to get into a full review of the draft. Do you want to take the moment to just reiterate and stress the importance of the community and the participation of East Longmeadow residents over the past 10 or 12 months? It's really been through a successful engagement with the steering committee and residents that we've been able to get to this point, I think delivering a draft bylaw that really reflects what residents would like to see in their town center. So a few remarks just about the successes of our project, the Centertown District Planning Project. We had 2 very well-attended community meetings held in this space here at the Senior Center with, I believe, all tables filled. In May, we had over 90 residents that gathered here and held small group discussions focusing on preserving green and open spaces, housing and neighborhood character, economic growth, and community connections. In October, we had a second community event in this same space with nearly 75 residents that focused on small groups determining what they thought the scale of a Centertown district should be, drawing maps that then directly influenced the steering committee's decision, which I thought was a very thoughtful and responsive process considering all of the community input. We also had a very successful online community survey over the months of August and September. Residents could provide their thoughts on green amenities, transit enhancements, density, what they would like to see at center field, local business, community gatherings, and general thoughts on a vibrant town center. I do want to stress that 550 responses for a community survey in any community is a huge success from our perspective at the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. Engagement through surveys is not always productive. It doesn't always provide quality sample size, but 3.4% of residents participating is a huge success in our experience. It's more participation than the Resilient Master Plan back in 2021, I believe. Also, over the summer months, the steering committee hosted 3 public educational events that were very successful, well attended. The Centertown Talks invited guests to discuss various topics, including developer perspectives on mixed use, zoning and land use, and one session on 40R or smart growth zoning. And I'd like to take one last moment just to stress that the successes of the Centertown District Planning Project these past months largely due in part to invaluable contributions from our volunteer residents serving on the steering committee. So through your dedication and attention, you've brought complex planning topics to the community, and your care for your neighbors and the town broadly has really helped lift voices of residents and shaped this draft bylaw. So I do want to take a moment just to thank you all for your time and efforts this past year. And that would be all of my remarks as of now. So thank you.
At this time, we can open the floor if anybody else has any additional remarks, thoughts or comments.
Does that include everyone?
It includes everyone if you would.
Oh,
Absolutely. And I also do have something to say, but go ahead.
do you mind if I go first?
Absolutely. Floor is yours, Tom.
All right, thank you. Well, Kyle, I think literally stole all of my thunder, but no, I mean, this was a very successful process, I thought. I guess I want to start by thanking Rebecca, especially. I think she was here for a minute when I handed her this project that I knew was going to last a very long time and probably take a lot of her entire schedule. And the fact that those numbers that Kyle was mentioning, that this many people showed up to that, or this many people showed up to that, or we had this event or that event, was largely, maybe solely due to the vigor in which Rebecca took this on. And so I want to thank you as a resident, but I also want to thank you as the town manager, because I don't think it could have been done any better. So thank you. The steering committee, I asked you to do something very difficult, which is try to explain planning to not just anyone, the entire general public. And I think that I couldn't be more pleased with how you handled yourself with integrity and patience. I've been reading this for just as long as you have. Planning is not an easy thing to sort of wrap your head around. And I think at every event, in one way or another, you were engaging the way that I thought that you would when we put this group together. And I just want to say thank you, because I know this is a lot of time. It's outside of this regular day. You gave up a lot of time for this community. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people are going to owe you a lot of thanks for what we're able to build and what will be built because of it. So thank you all. I really do appreciate it. PVPC, Aiden, Kyle, Ken, who's not here. Really thank you for your, leading us through this sort of quagmire. I think this is going to be something that ends up being a real positive for the community for next year and 10 years and 30 years from now. So again, thank you for your professionalism, all your help, answering all our questions along the way. I really do appreciate it. I think the last thing that I'll say is I do want to have some sort of debrief with each and every one of you to sort of, kind of get your thoughts on the entire process, but possibly more specifically, as he alluded to, fill in some of these gaps that still remain in the draft language. And what were your thoughts and what was your vision for what this bylaw was going to end up looking like? And then we'll kind of take that information, all the information from the public, perhaps a few more questions for PVPC, and Rebecca and Rob and I will kind of put that into a ball and fill in the few blanks that are left in the bylaw. And then again, we're back on course. We're headed to the planning board and sort of back on track. So thanks again to the public. Most of you will watch on LCAT tonight, but we couldn't be where we're at if we didn't have all that participation with all the information that the public gave, not only in this room when we were talking about things, but at all the events. I talked to many people in my office about this process and what they wanted to see. So I want to just thank everybody for really a great effort. That was, all our meetings were well attended, all the comments from everyone. I feel like we set out to accomplish what we were going to accomplish, and a big thanks to everybody for that. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Well, thanks, Tom, for taking literally everything I was going to say. Were you sitting there when I was like planning it out? So as the committee chair, I just want to thank Tom and Rebecca for personally for bringing me in on this. As a real estate photographer, I'm really interested in everything that has to do with real estate and commercial and all of that stuff, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And this was actually really a lot of fun and fascinating. I learned a lot, and I thank you for the opportunity to do that. And I want to thank my four committee chairs here. I think we all kind of dove in headfirst, not knowing a lot, and we were all pretty eager to find out more. So it's been nice getting to know you guys and working with you, and I look forward to working with all of you, hopefully in the future. Anybody else? Okay. Yeah, you have.
I'll just,
Yep.
I want to extend my thanks also to Rebecca, to Tom, to my fellow committee members. I think this is coming to a somewhat disappointing end, the way it's sort of ending here, but I think we've made a lot of good progress over this time. We've learned a lot. I personally learned that there are a lot of different people with very different needs in this town. We've been able to gather a lot of that information. I hope that comes through to some extent in the draft that does get developed. I'm certainly happy to provide more of my thoughts, Tom, and others I'm sure will too. But yeah, people there are some louder and quieter voices, but people have a lot of different needs in this town. And a lot of it relates to housing, and it's been really valuable to learn that. So thank you.
Carolyn, you mind if I go?
Sure. Yeah.
Great comment. Just for my 2 cents, kind of piggybacking on Jason, there is a need for housing in this town, and I believe there is a path that we still have to this. And there's as simple as possible. I believe it's still an overlay, as you've already laid out. I believe there is a number per acre that makes sense. I believe there's some good discussion between the planning board and the town council on the development of the existing buildings, perhaps on Shaker Road, 2nd floor, 3rd floor. Make condominiums out of the buildings that already exist. We've done there's made condos out of churches or things of that nature. So we have opportunities for those folks who were talking about finding housing that's reasonably priced to find a condo. And maybe we max them out at 900 square feet, the units, so that they stay reasonably priced for people that want to move out of their single family in a later part of their life, or coming back to East Long Meadow from college or something and want to live in this town as too. So I think the focus should be housing. We should offer mixed use if somebody wants to do it. But the key, I think, is to make the market help us make the decision. So if the market will allow for 12 units on per acre, so on a 3-acre lot, you can do 30 acres. If we see developers are willing to do that, then we go with that and we get development and we get housing that's desperately needed. If we overcomplicate things, I believe we're going to lose it all and we won't have anything. So my plea to you all is to keep this as simple as possible. Talk about shared use for parking, and so that we don't need all these extra parking spots, but find a way to create housing within that zone that you've already talked about, because I believe that's the core. That's where we have to look. We're not putting 36-unit apartment units out on the outskirts of town. It's never going to happen. The only way we're going to get more housing that's reasonably priced is if we have higher density. That's what I believe. So I ask you if you could get to that point to keep it as simple as possible. I thank you all for your time. This has been a long journey for all of you. I attended many of Rebecca's events. I'm very thankful for what she has done. I went to my first book club. It was great. A lot of different perspectives that I received from people that I've never met before. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Any other remarks?
Through the chair.
Sure.
So I would tend to agree. Like I said, I respect Greg's opinion. I think keep it simple. Moving forwards with the bylaw, that's what we need to concentrate on. I was hoping to hear more thoughts, more comments. We had started at the last meeting talking about like heights and parking and stuff like that. And I was hoping we were moving forwards. I'd love to hear what you guys had for thoughts as far as layout design, flat roof, peaked roofs, what we actually wanted the center to look like. We didn't get to that point. I think from what I'm understanding, that'll be moved to the town departments now. So, but I would rather have heard from residents here that were involved in it, what they wanted as far as the looks of it like that. But we'll move on to the next phase.
Okay.
I'll say quickly, I've enjoyed most of it, and it has been a real learning experience. I think one of the things I've learned is be careful what you volunteer for in town. Just kidding. But this is a very complex issue, and it takes a fair amount of expertise, I think, which is not necessarily what the steering committee has, but we've tried very hard to listen carefully to what the community residents who participated in the various meetings, what their viewpoints were and sum it up into something cohesive. And I think we moved the process along to the point where now the experts at the planning board and the and whoever else is involved can take the ball and run with it.
All right, I guess I'll say something. I have to say, the process was new to me and I liked it. I love the idea of the community involvement. We have many voices in this town. Many have been heard. And I think this is also a process for something that is as large and perhaps a sea change to many people. I think it was a great process. And I also think that anything perhaps in the future that has such a big impact town-wide, this is a good process. And enjoyable to get to know people too. We are a community. We have to remember that. We have to work together, live together, and respect each other's opinions, and continue the conversation.
I'll go. So I just want to thank Tom and Rebecca and PVC and the steering committee members for all their time. I am a newer resident to East Long Meadow, so it was overwhelming to me, to be honest. Just learning everything from commercial real estate and to the landmarks here that everyone seems to know so well. And so it was definitely an adventure, a learning curve as well. But I think that there's a lot of hope here in East Long Meadow. I think slow and steady will win the game at the end of the day. And not to make it so overwhelming for people who live in this town, who love this town, been members of this town forever. So I think there's a lot of hope here. It's just going to take some time and some getting used to. So I feel that the future is great here. And the opportunity for housing is definitely should be at the forefront, the decisions that are made.
I'll keep mine real brief. Everyone's already said this 5 times. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you to everybody, but we certainly look forward to taking this to the next step on the planning board when it comes to us next. Go with it.
Right. I think it's everybody. Yep. All right. Just final thank you to PVPC. A lot of hard work put into this, and obviously we couldn't have done any of what we did without your help and your input and guidance. So I really do appreciate it. All of your time. So, okay. So with that, need to approve the previous meeting minutes.
I do not have for you.
No. Okay. We don't have the meeting minutes, but that's okay because this is the last one. So that's okay. I think that's it then. All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. And we are adjourned.